And welcome back to the Ask Coach Phil Now show alongside Kelly Phil Now in North Carolina. I'm Dave Erickson. Today's topic has to do with strength and power training for triathletes. And Kelly, as triathletes, a lot of our movements are straight forward and back, but yet strength and power training can have great benefits. Why and how?
Yeah, so it's actually one of the things that most triathletes neglect during the season because we're training essentially for three different events and we all have limited window of time on a daily basis between family and job, and strength is normally the first thing to go, but I think it's one of the most important elements of getting to that race not only healthy but being able to have strength to finish the endurance event. So there's so many benefits from strength training, and you can implement something, 10, 15 minutes a day. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. Whether or not you're using a TRX, you're at home having a little band and doing hip and glute exercises. But so often, as athletes, we're just doing the same repetitive motions all the time that we're neglecting certain muscle groups. So I would say 90% of athletes, runners have, very weak glutes. And so what you have to do is specific glute movements, because, you're going to be able to finish the race so much stronger if you have like a strong core, and whether or not it's just simple band exercise or simple core work after a run. It doesn't have to take that much time, and it's important to do not only during the season, but in the off season, you can make bigger gains and focus on, I would say, a little bit more heavy lifting and get after, some bigger weights in the off season, whether or not it's multi movements like deadlifts or squats are another awesome exercise that will really help that glute strength that's lacking in runners and triathletes. And so often, cyclists are quad dominant and they don't have, the hamstring strength. So, and a lot of times, we just focus on just our abs and that six pack, and you neglect your back muscles, which I'm a big fan of making sure, you have that equal strength in your quads and in your hamstrings and in your entire core as well, because that's how injuries happen. And so it's a great way to, just prevent injuries by adding some simple strength and core exercises into your weekly training plan.
So you're talking about avoiding those imbalances in our muscles by having something strong on this part of your body and something strong on the opposite part of that body.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's the best way to avoid those imbalances. And um, you can hit the gym and hit the free weights, hit the machines, or you can just come up with a simple routine from home, with just a simple band. And I love the TRX too, and because it works your core for the every move. But I'm also a big fan of going to the gym and hitting it heavy too, and having one of my trainers spot me too, and that makes a big difference, I think. At the end of the Ironman, since I started lifting heavy, I've never had any issues with cramping or muscle fatigue at the end of an Ironman. And prior to implementing a more routine training plan, I would always feel like, oh, my left hamstring, kind of starting on the verge of cramping, or my right glute. But being able to have a little bit more balance throughout the body makes the difference for that final 10K of an Ironman.
What about the athletes we see in the gym that are pumping a lot of iron, lifting heavy, and we're afraid that we don't want to get too bulky as triathletes because the lighter athlete by kilograms or pounds is actually a faster athlete. So the more muscle we put on, I'm afraid that people are going to say, "Oh, I don't want to get too big because I'm going to go slower. I don't want to pack on muscle."
Yeah, and that's a great question. But actually, your body burns more calories for every pound of muscle that you have. So basically, your metabolism is going to get faster by just having more muscle on you. So I think it's more about being lean and what your percentage of muscle mass to fat ratio is as well, and that makes all the difference. Like that lean mass. And so I think, that you definitely want to make sure you are periodizing your strength training plan throughout the season, because there are times where it's more important to, lift heavier, and then other times, when you don't want to be lifting quite as heavy too. So you have to make sure it is correctly periodized throughout, the training season and training cycle. But as endurance athletes, you are doing a lot of swimming, biking, and running too. So I don't think that, you're going to necessarily be, bulking up because of the wide variety of cardio that you are doing in as well as with the strength training too. But it's just important to, keep into consideration that, the more muscle you have, the more your body's going to be burning on a daily basis.
Great tips about strength and power training for triathletes. Thanks, Kelly. If you have a question for Kelly, use the hashtag AskCoachPhil now on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. All right, Kelly, we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.
Bye.